Hey, what's up, everybody? You know we're pretty bullish if we survived a Sunday with not too bad of price action. But today, Monday, kicking off the week here, we got a little bit of kind of a mixed review. For the most part, I would say things are up, right? But I think they're starting to do their corrective structures. XRP is up big today, almost 9% earlier. It was at 260. Let's take a look at it. I think why is because XRP has kind of been a little bit lackluster in its retracement, right? So when we compare the retrace level from the bottom all the way to the top, you're looking at about 110% from bottom to top. Now, when you compare that to something like Theta, okay, this is a way big difference. You can see from the bottom, this is not a range, this is a crash. So it's going to be completely different from the bottom all the way to the top. It's about what, 3.5 times more severe than XRP, right? But if you look now at what has recently took place from the bottom all the way to the very top, we went up about 77%. Not bad. All right, let's go back to XRP. Now, do you think this is going to be higher or lower than 77%? Let's take a look. It's a little bit lower, but not by much, not by too much. But here's the thing. XRP is much closer to the top than Theta is, right? So, yeah, I think that we're getting a bigger move in XRP as opposed to other things, right? Let's take another example here. Let's look at something a little bit more similar. I know ADA was flagging out here. Okay, you can see actually XRP is doing better than ADA. I don't know about percentage terms. About the same, pretty much exactly the same in percentage terms. But as far as the retracement level, let's see where ADA is right at the moment here. It looks like, let me see if this is on linear. It looks like we're breaking the 382, right? Basically the 382. All right, so if we go back to XRP, and the reason why we do this is so that we can kind of compare and contrast exactly what's, how things are moving along, basically. So let's take a look at the fib level for XRP from the top to the bottom, and you can see it's a lot healthier. You could see ADA has the same percentage points, but it's over here. XRP has less percentage point, or the same percentage points, but it's a little bit higher. It's up here. So there's ADA, there's XRP. So yeah, it's pretty good. So yeah, let's see. When we look at this point, I wanted to see if we broke, because I know we broken out of the trend, but did we? If you look at this guy right here, did we break that? Let's see. Yeah, we did. Basically, yeah. For sure, we broke it. So, the reason I do this is because I'm trying to be as conservative as possible with the breakout. I don't want any room for error, right? So you can see this will be in 6 hours. This is going to be the first candle, if we can do it. Let's see if we can do it. Closing above the downward resistance line. So you have 1, 2, and 3. This is the most conservative you can draw that supply line. So, very exciting. Very, very, very exciting. This has been the main thing since we've been discussing this correction all throughout here, video after video after video, that this is some type of fourth wave. Right? This is some type of fourth wave correction, and we should be basically finished with it and on our way with our fifth wave. Because if you look at how long this took right here, it's roughly the same size as how long this took right here, which is a good thing, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're on our way for wave 5. There's no guarantee you're going to get wave 5, but statistically, probability speaking, you're most likely going to get it, I would imagine, unless some kind of major thing happens that's outside of our control with the political side. Like, for example, let's say, by the way, today, China and the U.S. decided to drop the tariff from 145% all the way down to 10%. So China has a 10%. So basically now the whole world is 10%, 10%. I don't know about the whole world exactly, but I know China is 10%, US is 10%. So they're going to do a 90-day pause. And the same for the other countries. But the other countries' 90 days started a lot sooner. So the China deal will be the last deal. And I think the reason why is because Trump knows how to explode optimism in the markets by basically having a situation where Trump gets elected, we explode to the upside, right? And then all of the chaos erupts with the tariffs. But instead of crashing like you would think, we didn't. We flagged. That's a big difference. See, this is a crash. This is a crash, right? This is a triangle. It's a flag. Okay? So those are the differences, right? That's why I've been stating that this doesn't look like a reversal to me. It looks more so like a correction, right? If we had something like this or this or this or this or this, right? No, it wasn't. So now I feel like, obviously the stock market did that, right? The stock market got hit really hard and it had what appeared to be a little bit of a crash. But I feel like, remember what I said here. Let's go to the SPX. Basically, this is why I believe Trump wanted to bring, my phone updated, and when you scroll through your windows, it's all different now. It's a little bit annoying, but anyway, Trump wanted to disassociate himself with the stock market, okay? Because it was Biden's stock market, right? Trump came in the first couple of weeks. How could it be his stock market? He just got there, right? So, but then we had this crash and he blamed Biden, but it was really the tariffs. Obviously the tariffs were the narrative, but he did that on purpose. He wanted the market to come down. So that, why? So that the fake news, right? MSM, mainstream media, right, could say, oh, well, it's your stock market now. And then Trump says, oh, it is? Okay, well, thank you. It is my stock. You know what? Yeah, you're right. It is my stock market. Boop. You know what I mean? The fake news, because they really figured the market was going to crash. And I didn't know exactly how big this was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to last 3 months, 6 months, a year. I don't know. I feel like it had to happen quick because Trump only has 4 years to get it done. So I feel like it had to happen quick, and he's a quick guy. He's a quick deal maker. I mean, if you look at all the things he's signed in his executive orders, it's crazy. And the reason I bring this up is because it has a direct impact on our portfolios. All right, and anything that has an impact on my portfolio, you have full right and responsibility to discuss it and to figure it out, whether you like it or not. So if you don't like Trump, it doesn't matter. You have to look at it from your portfolio. What matters is your money, your wealth, your family, and your livelihood, right? So if some person that you don't like, or maybe you do like, has an impact on that, you got to talk about it. You got to figure it out. So and it has to do a lot with psychology, because the way he sort of manipulates, he'll sometimes you'll hear him talk and he sounds like a babbling buffoon. He'll just like rant on, and it's like, what are you talking about? but he's really doing things in a way where you can't really understand. And it has to do with reverse psychology. And a good example of that was what he did here. Because whatever he knows how the media is, the deep state, right? We don't live in a people system. We don't. That's why he got elected in the first place. He didn't want to run. He got elected because we don't live in a people system. We live in a deep state, central bank, corrupt, sellout, treasonous system, right? Basically, America is this honeypot, and they're pouring out all the honey, and now there's nothing left, right? Or is there? Or is there? Right? So Trump is unlocking this chamber. So when we had this major correction in the stock market, again, he said, well, that was Biden's stock market. And then what did the media say? Oh, no, it's your stock market. And he said, oh, it is? And then they said, yeah, it is. Oh, okay, great. Bye. And then now we're up here, and then the media goes, well, it was Biden's. No, you can't say it was Biden's anymore because you said it was mine. So now it's mine here. So there you go. See, that's how he does things, right? He wanted this, see this trend here? He wanted it to break so that once it broke, and not only that, but we talked about, what did we talk about? Yeah, we talked about the low being in because it backtested this high. But not only that, I don't know if it was on this chart or the Dow, but we had a trend line here. I think it was the Dow. It was the trend line, and we basically nailed that trend line. All right. So we hit the backtest level and the trend line. So I don't know how sustainable this is going to be, and we don't even know if this is going to be a B wave, right? So for example, it's a very sketchy situation because you have and you go, who cares about the stock market? Let's talk about crypto. Well, this has everything to do with crypto because you'll see in a second, but you have point A, you have point B, and you have point C. All right, so point C is always the most challenging because you don't know. You're right in the middle of the retrace level. You don't know if you're going to break out. You don't know if you're going to pop the high, then come back down, or you don't know if you're going to come down, right? So, for example, this could be 3 down, and then you can get like 3 up, and then you can get 5 or 3 back down. A, B, C, and then go up, right? So that could be a situation that happens. So if this event was the tariffs, what the hell event would that be? That's got to be a big event, right? I would imagine it would be something to do with the financial system or something to do with the Fed or interest rates or recession. It's got to be. Or some type of discovery or some type of criminal network getting brought down to justice. Well, you would think that the market would go up. But if people are just totally saddened by what they see, they might not be so enthusiastic anymore. And I think you know what I'm talking about. Pam Bondi, the DOJ, going after the Epstein stuff, right? All the pedophiles and all that crazy, unbelievable things that people don't want to believe, but actually really exist. And so there's that side of the story too, not just the financial part, but there's the deep state criminal activity part. You know what I mean? So, and you know, it's pretty insane. But so here's the thing: is this going to be an A, B? Or this could be a flat, right? A, and then we come up here, B, and then we come down for a C, and then we go up. Maybe we make a higher low. If we break the low and then go up, regular A, B, C. Or this could be A, B, C here, and we could just continue higher. So I just don't really have an answer yet. I would prefer that we get a little bit of a 3-way pullback here, and then go back up in 5, but then again you would have 3. So this would need to turn into 4 and then 5. So definitely got a long way to go. Breath opened back up, which is good. So basically, so exactly what is breath? In markets refers to the number of stocks advancing versus declining in a given market index or exchange. So basically, it's a tool to assess the overall health and direction of the market, right? So a strong market with positive breadth means most stocks are gaining, while a weak market with negative breadth indicates more stocks are declining. It's a lagging indicator. I mean, lagging indicators are fine, but if you would have waited until breadth opened up, you just missed out on 100% or 67% for XRP. So, there's that. So you kind of have to figure it out before that happens, right? And then a lot of times once you get breadth, right? Let's say you go up in 5 ways, and then breadth opens right here, right? So it's down, and then it opens up right there, right? Breadth opens up right here, but you just had 5 waves. So what happens is people go, oh, breadth is open, so I'm gonna buy. And then what happens is you have a big correction, breadth closes back, then it shoots up, then it opens back up. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here, and I'll tell you why in here. So let's look at, first of all, let's just wrap up XRP real quick. So again, XRP, some type of 4th wave, and you can see right here, it appears that we have 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so I wouldn't be buying here. That's just me. But I mean, we could still keep continuing to rise very easily. That's the problem with bottoming and going into the retrace levels. So here's your top, here's your bottom, and here's our ascent to the retrace levels. The ascent to the retrace levels is always the most challenging because you don't really know exactly how it's going to look, right? We could have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then come all the way back to the low, and then kind of make a base and then come back up, right? Or you could do right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could be a 1. This is an ABC. That's a 2. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That could be wave 1 of 3, and then you get a little pullback, then you go 3, 4, 5, right? And then that's 3. So there's a lot of different ways you can interpret it. Another way is that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 1. A, B, C. That's a 2. It's a flat. And now we're going up for a 3. So those are all the bullish ideas, right? But the bearish ideas are equally the same in regards to this wave because it's 3 waves, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A. And then you have that. There's a B. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a C. So we have a 3-wave move up. What happens when you get a 3-wave move up? Sometimes you get a 3-wave move back down. So if this is 3 waves up, you can easily get 3 waves back down before then going really, really high, right? So what if we had to do this for the next several months? I mean, that would be, man, that would suck, but it's very possible. That's why it's always climbing, we call it climbing the wall of worry, because you don't know how price reacts in these retrace levels. Because the market is already rattled. I mean, just look at Theta, right? Theta had a big crash. I mean, you're crashing, right? You're crashing, you're crashing, you're crashing, you're crashing, you're crashing, you're crashing, right? So Theta, in my opinion, looks, you also have a 3-wave move here in Theta. So if we can get a 4 and a 5, then we would be in business. Right? And then we would have a 3-wave pullback and then a continue. But then look at that. Then it becomes a bigger 3, right? Then you need another wave up, right? So it's constantly, because here we were saying, yeah, we need 5 waves. Well, we got 5 waves. And then we got a 3-wave pullback. We got that. And then we have another 5 waves. We got that. But then that turns into 3. So we don't want 3. We want 5. So this, in order to remain bullish, we need to flag out and then continue, right? Because it could still be like a 1 2 1 2 or a 1 2 3 4 5. So the important part is this is very bullish right here. That is a very bullish wave. All right, that is completely different than any of the waves we saw back over here. Maybe this one right here, but this one definitely looks bigger and healthier. And then you have this one here, and then a little bit right there. So I don't really see a lot, I mean, for the most part, until it starts getting choppy, right? So that move is actually a pretty bullish move, to be honest. And if you look at the smaller time frames, and we'll circle back to XRP, just but if we look at the smaller time frames, we could see, you know, you have 1 2 3 4 5, 1 A B C 2, right? And then you have 1 2, and then it looks like 3 4 and 5. That could be it. It definitely looks in the same degree. So 1 2 3 4 5, right? And now you have A B C. But here's the thing, that ABC can turn into something a little more complex. For example, you can get 3 down, you can get 3 back up, and then you get 3 back down, and then go up. And it just becomes bigger, right? So we'll have to see how it plays out. But ultimately, we should be long this market. I don't know if I would be longing it right here. I definitely wouldn't be. That's why I bought down here. So you can start to see a little bit of resistance here. You could see the daily candle that was Sunday's candle. You're getting these dojis in here. So it could be that this whole week could be a little bit, you know, sideways consolidation, maybe a pullback. Actually, that's what I would want. I would prefer that. I would prefer that because the faster you go up, the less structure you build on the way, right? So if this kind of just goes straight up, well, and then you had a pullback, well, then you have this whole thing without a lot of support. Now you have support back over here, but it's better if you build structure on the way up, right? So, but yeah, Theta looks really good. I want to see, so the best case scenario I see Theta doing would be something like this, where you have a 1, a 2, maybe 3 is not done yet. Maybe 3 got a little bit more to go, but we'll just say 3, and then 4, and then we get up here for 5. And 5, you know, you have a range between $1.50 up to $2. So between $1.50 and $2. Hopefully we hit that $2 mark, and then from there, you would probably get an ABC, right? And then 1 2 3 4 5 up again, right? That would be a 1, that would be a 2. But we'll get there when we get there. The point is, you know, this is the wave that we have to work with. And this is extremely bullish. You have 3 waves up, you have 3 waves down. So this could be the fast and violent wave that I've been talking about. C waves are often very aggressive, very quick, very fast, and all of a sudden it's over. So the big question is, if we do get a bull run, which I believe we will, especially for XRP, it just looks like it's very, very primed. If we do get a bull run, right, how does that look for Theta in regards to the retrace levels, right? But not just Theta, you could pick any coin you want, right? So, you know, that would be the big area right there, $3. That's the big enchilada, you know, between $3 and $4. My question is, do we break that? If we do break that, then do we break, or how do we react up here? Because that $9 level, that $9, $10 level, that will be the most difficult probably to break, right? And here's the problem. If you're coming from down here and you go all the way up there, then you just lost a lot of momentum. right? So that's why we have these three waves. That's why when I say we have 3 up, 3 down, and then 5 back up, what this does, 3 up, 3 down, what that does is it resets the momentum, right? So we had this big crash, right? We had that big crash, and the price went up in 3 waves after that. But then it equally, here's the thing, it equally went down in 3 waves after that, right? So if you look at this as a mathematical equation, okay, this is very interesting. You have all of this. Let's say that represents the value of 10, okay, just for example. I was never good in math or algebra or trigonometry or geometry. I just hated it. But just entertain this for a minute. So if you have all of this, and that's, let's say that's minus 10, right? And then you went up, well, that's plus, let's say, I don't know, let's say plus 3, okay? And then you went down again. Well, guess what? That's minus 3, okay? So where are we at? Well, we were at, let's see, 9, 8, 7, negative 7, but then we came back down in 3. So we're still at negative 10. We're still at negative 10. So where does the positive 10 come from? Right? So if this big move is negative 10, and this is 3 up and 3 down, but this 3 up got canceled because of this 3 wave down, right? So you still have a negative number of this down move. So where does that positive 10 come from? Well, it could come here. It could come there. So that's why I'm saying, like, you know, or it could be a little bit more complicated. For example, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then you have 3 up, you have 3 down, and then you have 5 up, right? So you basically, now that's your A, right? And then this is 3, 3, 5. There's your B, and then you come down and C, right? And then you go. So that's a big one there. I'm not sure if we do go up very fast and violent, then there's probably a likelihood that we would have to flag down, and then we would have to go sideways before then going into price discovery. So this is probably what we're going to go through over the next 4 years, 5 years. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. But typically, or, you know, typically you have a rise, a crash, a retrace, a reaccumulation, sideways, breakout. That's typically what you want to see for a healthy chart. The other way you can look at it is the Ethereum model, and we've talked about this quite a bit. By the way, if you're new to the channel, maybe hit that subscribe button. I think if there's any time to hit subscribe, it would be now, because we are getting very close to something very interesting, and I do hate for you guys to have to miss it. Obviously, everybody knows the price every single day because I know you guys are checking. But, and I'm sure you're probably watching videos on what people think. So, yeah, if you hit that subscribe button, then that automatically signs you up for yourself for me to tell you what I think. So I don't know where I was going with that. All right, so the Ethereum model. Okay, so if we look at ETH and we compare it to Theta, and we've done this before, but I will continue to do it until it's invalid. All right, so let me get rid of all of this. And here is the ultra bullish count. All right, so this is the 10-day chart, let me see exactly how long this took from the top all the way to, we'll say C19. That took about 800 days. Okay. This from the top down to the bottom took way longer. Okay. So that could be a good thing. This could be a very good thing. Why? Because that means that this wave, how long did that wave take? Well, let me see here. If I take a measurement from the bottom of C19 to the top, it took about 600 days. Okay, so it should be at least 600 days of upside, which doesn't seem really likely because of where Bitcoin is at. Okay, because where Bitcoin is at. Unless something happens to Bitcoin and Bitcoin kind of just chills out between 100 and 200K. Bitcoin dominance just dumps, and we because we haven't had a real alt season yet. We've never had a super, you know what a super cycle is. Okay, you guys know what a cycle is, right? Okay, you guys know what a super cycle is, right? Okay, we've never had an alt season super cycle. What if this is the first time? What if this is the first time we get a alt season super cycle? And you go, what the hell are you talking about? I'll show you in a minute with Bitcoin. I'll show you in a minute. But basically, the Ethereum model is the W model. So you have a big crash. Well, first you have the bull market. You have the bull market. You have the bear market. You have the bear market. You have the retrace. Well, it's not really a retrace, but it's a little bit of a retrace. And then you have a three-wave move back down. Same thing here. You have a three-wave move back down. Okay? And that marked the low. And that marked the low. And here's the really interesting part about this. You ready? The really interesting part about this is that this low right here marked the low. And this low marked the low. You go, yeah, how is that interesting? Because this low was marked by C19 and a major Trump event type of, no, I wouldn't say a Trump, it would be a deep state event. But yeah, it was a big event. This over here was also a big event, which was the tariffs, right? So both of these, and the reason why, what I'm doing here is I'm adding confluence to the bullish thesis by explaining, because if this was a regular bottom, it doesn't have a lot of conviction. But the fact that this bottom is associated with a major global event, just like this bottom was associated with a major global event, right? Both of these bottoms have major events, right? China-U.S. trade deal, huge. I can pick 50 things in my bedroom that have been made in China. I don't know, maybe my TV, my little mini fridge, probably this cheap furniture I got, probably my lamp I'm looking at. I don't know. There's probably a lot of things. So it's a big deal, right? 145% ain't no joke. So, and here's the cool part. It was all associated with the three-way pullback, right? So what if we had some major bull cycle that comes out of this? Well, let's see where it came from. Let's see. If I take a Fibonacci level and I go all the way down, you could see we hit roughly the 3414. Okay, so let's see if this was going to play out with the Ethereum model, and it damn looks good, man. It really does. It's got a beautiful W shape. So if you can just envision that, right, where would this fib level take us to? Well, it would take us to the 3.414, which has a value of what? What is the number value of the 3.414? 54K. $50, just say 50. I'm not going to say 54. I'll say $50, guys. Can you say $50 Theta? Now, it's going to be very hard to get there because of where Bitcoin is at, right? See, here's the big problem. The big problem is Bitcoin. Because if I get rid of all this, and then let's go to Bitcoin here. And if you look at Bitcoin right here, you can see that this was C19. You could see Bitcoin had a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. It created a 3 or 4 year base, and then that's where it exploded, right? So the problem though is where Bitcoin is now. So it's a completely different environment because you already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. Bitcoin's been going up since 2023. So now we're approaching, now we're 25.5, right? It's basically we're in June now, May, June, right? So half the year is already gone. So it's been all of 4, all of 5. So it's been 2.5 years. Bitcoin's been going, and it doesn't even feel like it. Where's the euphoria? Where's all the excitement? You know, the Bitcoin crowd doesn't even make a lot of noise like the altcoin crowd does, right? And most people, I would say, have more altcoin than Bitcoin, maybe some. But Bitcoin's been going up for the last 2.5 years, right? So it's been losing steam, right? Versus now, here's the thing. How can Theta possibly get the hell up there? How is it possible? Well, it would have to move very, 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 very fast and very violent. How could that be possible? Well, let's go to, if we look at what happened before with Theta, you could see primarily, and that was, you see my marker on the right side, but you can also see it on the left side, right? Okay, so that's important because, let me get rid of that, and let's just go to full screen. So you can see just how vicious Theta goes up, right? And not just Theta, but I'm just using Theta as an example. This has to do with Theta. It has to do with a lot of the other charts out there, ADA. I mean, basically all of them, to a certain extent. SHIB, right? So Doge, all of them, basically. So you could see Bitcoin was going up first, right? It's starting to go up. But Theta didn't do nothing. It was flat. Well, gee, does that ring a bell? Yeah, it's what's happening now, right? So what happened was Bitcoin got up here. It got all the way to the top, right? Bitcoin, now here's the thing. Bitcoin had already topped. It was over. Done. Bitcoin is over with. It's completely over, right? So what happened to Theta? Well, you can see right here is the start. Right here. You see this wave right here? This candle right here. That was the start of a massive explosion for Theta. And how long did it take? How long did it take? Well, if you notice, I'm going to put that line right there. Okay, now let's spread it out. And you can see very clearly, Bitcoin was doing what, guys? It was going sideways. But what was Theta doing? It was exploding like a freaking volcano. All right? So if you take that understanding and then apply it to what's going on right now, all right, look what's going on right now. First of all, Bitcoin went up, Bitcoin went up. Theta's going sideways. Look at Theta, guys. It's going sideways. Now, I don't know if this is on the right scale. If I put it on regular scale, I'd probably be better if I just put it on percentages. There we go. So we'll just use percentages. Percentages are the best. So, yeah, but the problem with percentages is I can't look up because I have to draw. But so anyway, let's say Bitcoin goes up right here, and it's going to really Well, I'm just going to use regular so I can do this. There we go. So let's say Bitcoin goes up and it has one more wave. Fine, fair enough. Obviously, that's going to create Theta going up as well, right? And then maybe you get up to here. Then maybe Bitcoin pulls back, right? It pulls back, and then also Theta pulls back as well. And then it has a retrace. This is the important part, the retrace. So let me draw that one more time. So you go up. Let me put a line at like 130 or so, right around there, because you would typically want at least a 1618. Yeah, there we go. So the 1618 is 130 to 140. Perfect, perfect. So we get rid of that. So let's say Bitcoin gets up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, perfect. Theta gets up here. All right. But then what happens? Well, then we have a big crash in Bitcoin. We have a big crash in Bitcoin. All right. But since Bitcoin dominance is falling, we just have a flag for Theta. Then here's the magic. Here's where it's magical. Once Bitcoin gets a retracement back to the upside, what is that doing? Now Bitcoin is going what? Sideways, right? It's going sideways in here. What is that going to allow Theta to do? Explode, 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 explode. Just like what happened over here, right? And it all happened within a very short period of time. This whole move literally took 24 days. So Theta went up, guys. This is how fast it could have literally happened. Theta went up like 400% in a matter of a month, like less than a month, right? So, but it had already been going up over here too. So I think the whole rally, if we come all the way down here, roughly, well, yeah, see, okay, that's why I was like 400%. That's not right, because I'm on the Bitcoin chart. I'm using the Bitcoin scale. That's why it was all messed up. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. Theta went up several thousands of percent. So anyways, what I'm saying here is, for the W model to work, we need Bitcoin to kind of chill out a little bit, just like how Bitcoin chilled out up here. So if I take a fractal, let's just do that. I'll take a fractal from down here to there. Okay, just as an example. And then I'm going to take this fractal and then I'll put it right there. Boom. Okay, so you guys know the retrace model, right? Where we had the crash and then the retrace. Okay, but what if it was a little bit different? What if we got up here just like that and then we went sideways? If we were just chilling, we were going sideways for how long was this? Roughly maybe 2 months, right? Let's say we're going sideways for 2 months. Well, guess what? That's going to allow Theta time to really explode to the upside. Because if, again, look at this three-way pullback. It is beautiful. It is, you have all of this base in here. You broke out and now you're flagging out. This thing is cocked and ready to rock up to the upside, right? Now, here's the thing. Do we have the W model where we break out and we go into new all-time highs? That's a really tough one. And I don't know. I don't feel comfortable saying that at all. But what I do feel comfortable saying is we can at least get, I would think, between $5 and $10. All right. Or between $4 and $9, or I would say between $5 and $10, I think would be a really reasonable target. Now, here's the thing: we don't know what the world. Look what's happened just in the last 10 months. I mean, so much has happened, right? So many things that you would have never thought happened, right? Just imagine what happened back in C19. Nobody thought that was going to happen, right? So think about this. If we come up here and let's say it's like October or September of this year, and then all of a sudden Trump comes out and says, "Yeah, we're going to have a crypto bill now," because I think I think a crypto bill was it lost by 1 vote or something. So if we had some type of news in here, like maybe it was a tax cut or a crypto bill or some type of like a multi-asset ETF, where it basically you take the top 25 cryptos, put them in a basket, and use that as the ETF, something like that, or mainly regulations. Or what if it's a deal? What if the government is going to basically contract a private crypto company? Maybe it's Ripple, right, or something. Maybe even Theta. Maybe Elon Musk and Starlink and Theta team up. I mean, you don't know. Anything's possible. What I'm saying here is some type of news event, right, that's really bullish, and then it shocks the market. That is what breaks us out. Okay? But if we don't get that, I think we're probably going to chill out here just because of where Bitcoin is at. Bitcoin looks exhausted. It looks like it's pretty much toast, right? It's got a little bit more to go, and then it's probably going to be over. So the question is, how much time do we need for Theta to get up here? So it's going to take longer for Theta to get from here to here versus from here to there. From here to there could take like a week. It could be very fast when you go into price discovery. So we'll see how it goes. I spent a lot of time on Theta today. So for all the Theta OGs out there, share this with your Theta peeps out there. I think this is a good start. So yeah. So just remember, right here, I started the channel and I expected a retrace. We got a retrace, but it was very shallow. Now we understand why. Because it's part of a bigger retracement. It's part of a more complex retrace. It has more additional structure, right? So once we get there, here's going to be the test. Once we get there, we're going to have resistance. But how does it look? Do we get up there and then it violently crashes like this? Or like this, or like this, or like this? Or does it get up there and then it kind of flags out very nicely? That's going to be the difference. That's going to give us the edge, right? So we'll see how that plays. Another thing too is you can very clearly see the head being formed here. And I have not yet talked about this, I don't think. So if we look at this from an inverse head and shoulders perspective, I thought I had that here. You can see you have a left shoulder, right? This could be your head right there, right? And then what happens is you would have to have a little bit of a pullback here for a right shoulder. Now, there we go. Something to this effect, where we kind of get up here and then we kind of flag out a little bit. I don't think it's going to be that severe. I hope not. But it could be, right? So, and then what would the measured move of that be, though? The measured move from this head to that shoulder, or to the neckline, and then I come back up here. Guys, this takes us above the all-time high. Okay? That takes us above the all-time high. So let me, I'm going to do a conservative one, and then I'll do a little bit of more of a liberal one here. Let me put that down. First of all, let's go to the weekly chart so we can have weekly order blocks. There we go. So it's right on the order block. And then I'm going to take, well, what we can do too is we could do a price range from here, from the bottom of the wick all the way to the top. Boom. And then I'm going to take this, put it right there. And you can see that gets us almost basically to the all-time high. Okay? So that's a good thing, right? That means we've broken above the 618, the 702, the 886. That means we've broken above them all, right? But you could still get some kind of flat, right? It could still be a B wave, right? It could be 3 up, 3 down, and then 1, 2, 3 up, right? And then we get up here, and then it's all, and then this is your A, and that's your B, and then we have kind of a 3-wave C. You know, it's a reaccumulation situation, and then we go up. So this would be the more conservative approach. The W or Ethereum model would be the more aggressive approach. But both of these ideas say that we should get back up to that, at least that $5 to $10 area. So let's see how it all plays out. There's no guarantees that any of this is going to play out, not financial advice, right? Now, what about the bearish idea? This could still be very bearish, right? Meaning that this is 1, 2, 3, and then we go up for 4, and then we still have to come down for 5. And then you could look at it like, well, it wouldn't be a WXYZ. It would be more of a, you know, some type of zigzag correction. But yeah, that would be an interesting situation. You could say that's a C, you know, A, and then B, and then it's a C wave diag. And then, but if we got that, then there would be no doubt in my mind that we can totally break out into price discovery at that point, because we developed a C wave, right? Because this chart does not have a C. So anyways, small time frames real quick. You know, the small time frames are, let's go to the other chart. So if you look at the small time frames, they look pretty good. So you can see a flat work in here, guys. This looks, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But whatever. If we look closely at this wave here, you can see we have a 3-wave pullback working in here, right? So it looks to me like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, and then you have a B, and then it looks like, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? I mean, yeah, it could be. Is it a flat? Did it go up at least, was it 90% or 80%? Yeah, we crossed above the 90% mark. So it is a flat. Okay, so if it's a flat, then that means it could be, it doesn't have to be like A, B, C all the way down here. It could be A, B, C, maybe just right there. Or maybe a little bit lower. You can see we took the low here. So I don't know if it looks finished though. It's, you know, anytime you go up like this, I would prefer it to be 3 down like this, 3 up, and then 3 back down. That would be a good buy. But that would take probably all week, you know, so we'll see. But anyways, that's Theta. I don't want to get too much on Theta. XRP versus Bitcoin. What are you doing today? Oh yeah, it looks good. So I'm going to do rapid fire now. I'm going to go really quick. So yeah, looking at that as a flat, and you got sort of a double bottom here. It looks like you got a 1, you got a 2. This thing looks like it's ready to rip and roar. SHIB. Now SHIB, I'm holding a trade, and the deal is, right? The deal is if SHIB 10,000, right, or SHIB 1,000. Let me just put SHIB 1,000 so nobody. Here we go. If SHIB, I don't know. That's not the right chart, is it? I guess so. No, because I don't have the full chart. Here it is. Okay. So the deal is, I've made a deal with my members. So member support. Now, there's no guarantee that this is even going to remotely happen, but it's a possibility, which is if SHIB can hit, let's pull the fib levels up. If SHIB can hit log scale targets, right? Log scale. So the big guy, the big enchilada right here. So if SHIB can hit the log scale 1618 target, which I can't see why I couldn't. I believe it will eventually hit it for sure. I just don't know if it's going to be this cycle. I hope it is. But, man, it's so windy out there today. I just despise the wind, especially when I need to do things outside. But, anyways, if SHIB hits 50 cents, I will give away $10,000. Provided that I still have the trade open, because there's no guarantee that I have the trade open. So I opened a trade and I went really aggressive down here, more than I should have. It's in profit, pretty good. So if this continues up and up and up, and I don't screw it up, meaning I don't mess up my entry, I don't know, I keep it open. I don't get rattled, I don't get scared out of the market, and I keep it up, and it goes up, and we hit that number, one member is going to get 10K. That's a lot of money, man. That's, I mean, come on. That's, I don't know. That's a lot. So we'll see how it plays out. I hope to God you win, because I want you to win. I want this to happen, right? I want it to happen. So, yeah, let's see how it works. Now, if we don't get there, let's say we only hit, see, I don't really like doing this, because what if we, like, let's say we, I said, well, we don't have to hit 50 cents. Let's go 35 cents. And instead of 10,000, maybe let's make it, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000, right? But then let's say that, 2 months later, then it hits 50 cents. Then it's like, well, then, so I have to kind of work out the finer details. Maybe I'll do a poll. I'll do a poll on my YouTube page, and I will ask, what do you prefer? 35 cents or 50 cents? Obviously the reward will be smaller, but, but anyway, we'll see how it plays out. There's no guarantees that this is going to even play. Well, I have no idea, but I'm very confident in the chart. I'm very confident in what I see here. The reason why I picked SHIB, I could have picked any chart, but I picked SHIB because of the way it looks. I just love the way the chart looks. It's my favorite meme coin looking chart. Okay, you have this powerful rally, and it wasn't even that big of a deal, right? And then it came down and was very tight in here, very tight. And then you broke out of that, and you had this gorgeous three-way pullback into the range. You developed this major bullish divergence. So it just seems to me that this thing's going to blast off. I mean, that's just what it seems like. So, God, I hope so. I hope so. I hope it blasts off. I really do. And I believe it will. I really do. So, let's see how it plays. Small time frames. Now, there's no guarantee, right? Because we don't even have 5 waves yet. Well, we did have 5 waves here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 1, right? This could be a 2. And this could be the beginnings of a 3rd wave, right? That could be your 3, right? Then you get a 4 and then a 5. If we got that, that would be amazing. But I really like the chart because you see the inverse head and shoulders. You see the divergence. You see we broke the neckline. It looks like we're trying to backtest the neckline. I do want to make one more entry into SHIB. One more big entry into SHIB without screwing up my entry. Now, I can choose, I think my entry was 12.20. like right there somewhere, right around here. So if I buy it right this second, which I'm not, but if I did, it would raise my entry up to here or somewhere, which then puts me more at risk. So I have to be smart about it. But if you look closely, you can see, what do you guys see? Is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or is this 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then 5? That's a good one. We'll see. You can see that we are coming down. You can see a three-way move very, very, very clearly, right? So if we start to develop a little bit of a base in here and hold support, then that would probably be a little spot to throw a little bit into it, maybe. We'll have to see. So there you go. There's SHIB. All right. AVAX, same thing with AVAX. You got this nice three-way pullback. I actually like it. Let me look at the smaller time frames so I can see the wave structure here. I don't really like it a lot because I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then look how small wave 3 is. I don't really like that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me look at ADA. Yeah, ADA is way better because it's you can see it's very clear. So maybe we get 5, maybe we get 3. I don't know. We'll see. But you can see a flat. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a 1. And then A, B, C, there's a 2. Or you can have 3 and then 3 and it could be a bigger 2. See, I like when waves are in a directional instead of all of this crap and this crap, right? Because we can actually identify the wave structure and count it, right? Remember, Trump did say, you better go out and buy stocks right now, you know? So that was interesting. So yeah, ADA, you know, looking at this like a 1-2-1-2 setup. And then this looks like another 1 of the third, and then you would get 2 of the third and then 1/3 of the 3rd. So but I'm not sure if we're gonna have to, you know, flag out a little bit in here, a lot, because of where Bitcoin is at. If we look at Bitcoin real quick, if I can find it. Okay, if you look at Bitcoin real quick, we're still over 100,000, right? The issue though is we have 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can literally flag out for 30 days. We can flag out for 30 days. So it's basically May 12th. So half of May is essentially over. So it could be in the second half of June where this corrects, you know? So we could literally be going down for the next 30 days. It feels bullish. It feels exciting right now, but don't let it fool you. You know, we could have a serious situation here. You know, you have a big, powerful 5-wave move up. It makes sense to me, and you have all of this resistance in here. It makes sense to me that we would have a flag in here, some type of ABC before then going up. So the question becomes, what happens to altcoins during this phase? Do they get destroyed? Do they make out pretty well? Do they do something similar? That's the question that I'm trying to figure out. So if we expect some type of ABC, now it doesn't have to, right? This could be a little bit of a pullback and then it continue higher. So it doesn't have to be super severe. All right, so if we go back to something like Theta, right, that could mean that we would flag out in here for a little while, right? Or if it wasn't too bad, maybe a little bit of a flag before going up. So that's what I mean. you have a straight line up. I would wait and let this kind of let it resolve itself. Let's see how it plays out, and then also be tracking the small time frames, right? And you can see a three-way move in the small time frames, and it probably will continue higher, because we don't see any signs of Bitcoin slowing down quite yet. So if we look at Bitcoin on the smaller time frames, it definitely looks bearish. It definitely looks more bearish. You can see we don't have an ABC. We have this sort of ugly thing. We have a big crash here. It could be a flat. It could be ABC. It could be a flat. Or it could be 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 back down, and then continue. Right? So there could be a stall here for a little bit, and it makes sense that we would need a stall, right? It makes sense that you would want to see that, right? It looks like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, where could we pull back to? Well, I want to stay above this 98,000. As long as we stay above 98,000, 99, right around there, I say we're doing pretty good, because that's your little block right here. As long as we stay above that little block, I think we're doing all right. So anyways, that's Bitcoin. Oh man, time flies. So Monero looks pretty good. Monero looks beautiful, right? I expect this to continue higher. Small time frames, very weird structure. It's very difficult because it looks so corrective. I'm not sure if this is some type of A and then some weird long B and then we get a C. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. We'll see how it plays. But yeah, that's Monero. So Near Protocol, looks like we have 1 2 1 2, or 1 2 3 4 5, or 1 2 1 2 3. Either way, looks really good. See, Near to me doesn't look nearly done. I mean, it looks like it actually looks good. You know, you had this, it looks nice. You have that three-way pullback there. So if we take a way you can measure a three-way pullback, take a trend base and then come down here and then come up, and look at that, we perfectly nailed the 1-to-1. So that could be a good spot, you know, to buy the dip here. I'm just not, so when I say buy the dip, meaning for a short-term trade or for a short-term wave up. Now if you're a swing trader and you're doing the larger cycles or the larger move, yeah, it is a good spot. You know, you got an impulse, you got a three-way pullback. I just don't know if it's big enough to be, you know, it could be a bigger three-way pullback. So that's why you dollar cost average instead of going all in at once. So yeah, Near looks great because it is, you know, you got this impulse three-way pullback, just like AVAX, just like ICP, right? So AVAX, ICP, and Near all have something special going on because of their waves, their wave structures.